Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to present an important topic in English grammar, which is types of sentences. By the end of this presentation, you will clearly understand what a sentence is, its parts, and the different types of sentences based on purpose, structure, and tense. Let's begin with what a sentence is. A sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. It always has at least a subject and a predicate. For example, she is reading a book. Here, she is the subject, and is reading a book is the predicate. Now let's talk about the parts of a sentence. There are two main parts of a sentence, the subject and the predicate. First, the subject. The subject tells us who or what the sentence is about. For example, Ali plays football. In this sentence, Ali is the subject. Next is the predicate. The predicate tells us what the subject does, or what happens to it. For example, Ali plays football. Here, plays football is the predicate. Now let's move on to types of sentences based on purpose. First, we have declarative sentences, also known as assertive sentences. These sentences state a fact or an opinion, and they end with a full stop. For example, the sun rises in the east. Next, we have interrogative sentences. These sentences ask questions and end with a question mark. For example, where are you going? After that, we have imperative sentences. These sentences give orders, make requests, or give advice. For example, close the door, or please help me. In these sentences, the subject is usually hidden, and it is understood as you. Now let's look at exclamatory sentences. These sentences express strong emotions such as happiness, surprise, or anger. For example, what a beautiful day. Next are optative sentences. These sentences express wishes or prayers. For example, may you succeed in life. Then we have negative sentences. These sentences express denial or negation, using words like not, never, or no. For example, she is not coming. Now let's discuss conditional sentences. These sentences express a condition and its result. They usually follow a pattern like if something happens, then something else happens. First is the zero conditional. This is used for general truths or facts. For example, if you heat ice, it melts. Next is the first conditional. This is used for real and possible situations in the future. For example, if it rains, we will stay home. Then we have the second conditional. This is used for imaginary or unlikely situations in the present. For example, if I were rich, I would travel the world. Finally, we have the third conditional. This is used for situations in the past that did not happen. For example, if she had studied, she would have passed. Now let's move on to types of sentences based on structure. First, we have simple sentences. A simple sentence contains only one independent clause. It has one subject and one predicate, and expresses a complete thought. For example, she reads daily, or Ali plays football. Even if the sentence is long, it is still simple as long as it has only one independent clause. Next, we have compound sentences. A compound sentence has two or more independent clauses joined together. For example, she sings beautifully, and he plays the guitar. We usually use words like and but or so to join these clauses. We also use a comma before these joining words when connecting to complete sentences. Sometimes a semicolon can be used instead. For example, she loves to hike. He prefers to stay home. Now let's look at complex sentences. A complex sentence has one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. A dependent clause cannot stand alone and needs the main clause to complete its meaning. For example, because she sings beautifully, she was asked to perform. Or, she was asked to perform because she sings beautifully. When the dependent clause comes first, we use a comma after it. When it comes after the main clause, we usually don't need a comma if the meaning is clear. Finally, we have compound complex sentences. These sentences combine both compound and complex structures. They have two or more independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. For example, she sings beautifully, and he plays the guitar, even though they haven't practiced together in months. Another example is, she did not want to go to the party, but he convinced her. He always knows how to persuade her. In such sentences, semicolons can be used to separate independent clauses when commas are already present. Now let's briefly look at types of sentences. Based on tense, present sentences talk about actions happening now or general truths. For example, she is studying. Past sentences talk about actions that have already happened. For example, she studied yesterday. Future sentences talk about actions that will happen. For example, she will study tomorrow. To conclude, a sentence expresses a complete thought and has two main parts, the subject and the predicate. Sentences can be classified based on their purpose, their structure, and their tense. Understanding these types helps us communicate more clearly and effectively. Thank you for listening.